What's up, Guardians? Zeus here, and today we are diving into a mechanic that can make Corvus far more dangerous than he looks on the surface. Byrna is doing much more than just healing here, and once you see how these skills connect, you may start testing this combo very differently, so stay with me until the end. In our previous content about the Asgard Maestro boss fight, we explained that there is an interesting synergy between Byrna and Corvus. But today, I want to go deeper and show exactly how that synergy works, why it matters, and what is really happening behind the scenes when these two heroes are used together. We already mentioned before that Corvus, especially in Foundry, can increase his health, and as a result, his Altar of Souls becomes more dangerous. The important part here is that Corvus does not just become harder to kill when his health goes up. His altar also becomes stronger, which means every point of extra health has double value for him in this kind of setup. Let's look at Corvus first. His skill is called Altar of Souls. Corvus conjures an altar in the center of his team, and that altar deals pure damage to enemy heroes whenever they deal damage to allied heroes. At the same time, the altar loses health whenever Corvus's allies take damage. So the altar is constantly trading its own durability to punish the enemy team. In my case, the altar damage is almost 14,000, while the altar health is almost 1 million. And this is the key part, both the altar damage and the altar health depend on Corvus's own health. So if Corvus gets more health, the altar becomes tougher and it also hits harder. That is where Byrna enters the picture and starts creating a very interesting interaction. Now let's move to Byrna. The skill we need to focus on here is Guardian Spirit from Roar of Nature. Guardian Spirit deals around 66,000 damage to all enemies and also heals allies for around 66,000. But the important mechanic is not only the heal itself. 100% of that healing is converted into a maximum health increase until the end of the battle. That changes everything. This means Byrna is not simply healing Corvus and helping him survive longer. She is actually increasing his maximum health during the fight. And because Corvus's Altar of Souls scales with his health, that means Byrna is indirectly increasing the altar's damage and durability at the same time. So this is not a small interaction. This is a direct link between Byrna's healing mechanic and Corvus's damage mechanic. To show this more clearly, I prepared arena battles with different team compositions. I especially wanted to test this idea in newer combinations, including teams with Electra and some fluffy style setups, because those teams give us a better picture of how the mechanic behaves in different environments. But I want to mention one important thing before we continue. These teams are not meant to be presented as perfect or 100% accurate meta teams. The purpose of these battles is much simpler. I designed them to show one thing clearly, that Corvus's Altar of Souls can deal more damage when the right support is built around him. And as you can see from the different battles, Corvus's altar starts around 40,000 damage in these setups. To push that number even further, I used Aiden in the team, because Aiden helps increase Corvus's health. Then I also used Albus' patronage to Corvus, because Albus increases the pure damage dealt by Altar of Souls by 75%. So every element in these battles was selected with a very specific purpose in mind. Aiden helps increase Corvus's health. Albus helps increase Corvus's pure damage. Byrna helps increase Corvus's health limit during the battle. And when you combine all of that together, the altar becomes much more threatening than it would be in a normal setup. But even with all of that, there is still one more mechanic that needs proper support if you really want to unlock Byrna's side of the synergy. And that mechanic is Living Heart. Byrna's skill Living Heart increases her magic attack every time an ally restores health. In my case, every time an ally restores health, Byrna gains 554 magic attack. That may not sound huge at first, but the value keeps stacking throughout the battle. And this is why healers become so important around Byrna. The more healing events you create, the more Byrna's magic attack rises. And the more her magic attack rises, the stronger roar of nature becomes. That means Byrna heals more damage, and most importantly, increases the team's maximum health by a bigger amount. So the whole mechanic starts feeding itself. More healers mean more healing triggers. More healing triggers mean higher magic attack for Byrna through Living Heart. Higher magic attack means stronger healing from Guardian Spirit. Stronger healing means a bigger maximum health increase for allies. And if one of those allies is Corvus, then his altar becomes even stronger because it scales from his health. That is why this synergy is so interesting. It is not just one skill helping another skill. It is a chain reaction. If you watched my previous video where I explained Byrna's mechanics in more detail, then you already know that when Byrna is supported properly, the healing can reach millions of health throughout the battle. And once that starts happening, the increase to maximum health becomes very significant. That is exactly why Corvus can benefit so much from her. Of course, I am not saying that the teams shown here are already the final answer or some new meta discovery. That is not my point. My goal here is to explain the mechanic and make the interaction between Byrna and Corvus easier to understand. Personally, I believe Foundry in Clash of Worlds is the place where this cooperation could become especially dangerous. If the community finds the right full team around them, Corvus and Byrna could turn Foundry into a very difficult place for opponents to attack. But at the same time, we also know that these two heroes alone are not enough. A full team still needs more support around them. And that brings us to the next question. What kind of support do they need? Most likely, they need more healers, because more healing means more stacks for Living Heart and more maximum health gain from Guardian Spirit. Maybe they also need healers or supports that add magic defense, because we already know that Augustus and Orion teams can be very effective in Foundry. Another possibility is testing Byrna in a Corvus and Electra setup, because Byrna can also increase Electra's health limit, which opens another layer of potential synergy. So there are still many combinations to explore. This video is not about claiming that we already found the perfect team. It is about understanding the mechanic first, seeing the connection between Byrna and Corvus clearly, and then giving the community a better base to test stronger combinations. And that is also why Byrna should not be seen as a hero who only works with Mushy and Shroom. She clearly has synergy with other heroes as well, and Corvus is one of the most interesting examples of that. So, the key point is simple. Byrna and Corvus have a real synergy, because Byrna can increase Corvus's health limit, and that helps Altar of Souls become more dangerous as the battle goes on. Now I want to hear from you. Have you tested Byrna and Corvus together, and what team would you build around them? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next Hero Wars video. Keep testing, keep improving, and stay one step ahead of the enemy. Salute and friendship.